Hello everyone, this is Ann Nicole from Canterbury Card Designs here for Scrappiness today. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use some of these really cool pearl powders that they have. So first thing that I'm going to do, and I'm not editing anything out of this video because I'm going to show you a couple projects just like the one that you saw a second ago at the beginning of the video. So I'm going to show you first what the powders look like when you swatch them on paper so you kind of get an idea. So I'm using this. I'm using just a kind of a coordinating color of Distress Oxide ink. You don't have to do this. You can use this with plain embossing powder, which I will show you later on in the video. But here I just want to show you what it looks like when you use the pearl powder over a similar colored ink on black cardstock and on white cardstock. So this first one that we're doing, we're using Emerald and just swatching it over, like I said, a sort of a similar color of Distress Oxide ink. And I'm just brushing it on very, very lightly. You don't need a lot of these. A little goes a very long way, which is why they last forever. And you can see, really see that shine, that shimmer there that you get. And now let's try it on black cardstock. And this gives you a really cool effect. So I hope you can see that in the picture, but it gives you a really cool shimmery sparkly effect. So that one is Emerald, and next one up is called Mint. Mint is the color that I used in the card, the Merry Christmas card at the beginning of this video, just to give you an idea. And I'm going to show you another way to use these later on in the video. So we're going to swatch this. I switched out my foam brush, the foam topper. I'm going to use it again with another coordinating color. And that just gives it a more rich effect. You can use these, like I said, you can just use embossing powder and put these pearl powders over them as well. And you can see here, basically I used what was left in the lid. You really don't need a lot of these. Scrape any excess off back into your container. And look at that shimmer. So beautiful. I love these. And then let's swatch it on white so you can get an idea. Now here I'm just demonstrating a few of the colors that I happen to have on hand at the time. I have since ordered the rest of them. But there you can get a sense of what that looks like on white. Now I'm going to switch out my foam brush again, and we're going to use pink. So you can see from the video that I did, the card that I made at the beginning of the video, it really does look like a red. So here I'm going to use it with a similar Distress Oxide color. This is Festive Berries, which really is more of a red. And then I'm going to put the pink pearl powder on top of that. So I didn't really edit anything out of this video because it would have looked too choppy, and I really wanted you to get the full effect, especially when I get into using it as a spray, how to make a spray out of these pearl powders. I wanted you to see how each layer dries. So stick with me till the end of the video and you'll get to see it all. Look at how pretty that looks. It really does look a little bit more of like a red. So you could use it as a pink or a red. It's just so pigmented. It creates such a nice sparkle, shimmer on both white and black cardstock. So there you have that. All right, and we'll switch out my foam brush again, and then we will move on to dark blue. Dark blue, this is one of my favorite ones. So again, because I didn't edit this video, you get to see me cleaning my table and all that fun stuff that goes on in between. All right, so let's do our last one. I'm also going to clean my brush off a little bit because I don't want to get any bit of pink in with the blue. And we're going to do the same thing again. Just take a coordinating color Distress Oxide ink just to make the effect a little bit more vibrant. And we'll just do the same process again for the fourth time. Just put a little bit on there. And look at how beautiful that is, how vibrant that is. This one shows up really, really well on black. And on white. You can create some really cool effects with these powders. And there you go. Like I said, I think this one's my favorite color. And I'm going to show you upcoming here a project that I made. This is, I made a spritz out of the pearl powder in this dark blue and created these cute little hearts on this card. I just have to finish this one up with a sentiment, but you can see really how shimmery that is. I'm going to show you in a few minutes coming up here how to make sprays out of them as well. So let me just clean off everything here. And now we'll get into this. So now we're going to take mint and we're going to take the pink and I'm going to take these two mini spritzer bottles that I have. Now these you can make as strongly pigmented or as light as you would like, just depending on how much, you know, the ratio of the powder and the water that you put into the bottle. And I'm going to take this little scoop and this little creamer. I chose this little creamer kind of jar that I had because it has a spout. And I have one of these little spoons from Crafter's Companion. These are available in the Cat Scrappiness store. Ooh. If you want to purchase those, they're just the perfect size. And again, I'm just going to put like, 2 or 3 scoops into these and then fill with water. Then I'm going to replace my top and shake it up really good, just to mix all of the pigment powder. And these, you can put these aside, you don't have to get rid of them once you use them. You can put them aside. You just want to make sure that when you pull them out to use them again, you just shake them really good to make sure that you remix them thoroughly. So just wipe off my spoon, clean it a little bit, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the mint color. And if you want it to be a little bit darker, just put some more powder in it. But you can see I've hardly dipped into these powders at all. Because like I said, a little bit goes a long, long way. And then we'll just shake this up. think these mini mister bottles you can get anywhere. I have had these probably for about, 12 years, so I honestly do not remember where I got them, but you could really use anything. All right, so now I'm going to take a piece of Strathmore watercolor paper, move everything out of the way here. And again, this is where I said I didn't edit any of this out because I wanted you to be able to see the whole process. Sometimes when I'm watching a video with a technique that I've never done before, I really want to see the whole thing. And even though watching an edited version is great, sometimes midway along the process I'm wondering, okay, is this supposed to look like this now? Is this what theirs look like halfway through? So that was one of the main reasons why I didn't edit anything out, because I wanted you to see each time that I dry it and add a layer to it, what it looked like. So in between here, you can see I just put a couple sprays on my watercolor paper. I am going to heat set this with my heat tool. So I heat it on the top. I usually do heat it a little bit from underneath as well. Just helps with warping, to prevent the warping of the watercolor paper. And like I said, this is Strathmore cold press 140-pound watercolor paper, pre-cut. Then you can see how it looks when it's dry. This that we're creating now is the background for the Christmas card that I showed you at the onset of the video. So you can really see how that shimmer comes through there. So now spray a little bit more. You want a little bit darker. Again, totally your choice. I just wanted to show you the whole process so you can make it as dark or as light as you want, depending on what kind of card you're making, what kind of effect you're looking to achieve. And then heat setting it in between also prevents the colors from getting all muddied together. Again, like I said, hit the underside, helps prevent the warping. But see, you can really start to see that shimmer coming through. So now let's put some of the mint color down. Always got to do a little dusting off because I have 7 cats, so always got to make sure there's no cat hair floating around. And we'll just spray some of that green on there. And you can also, of course, depending on how much you spray, you can, just like you could do with watercolors, you could just kind of, wiggle your paper around to spread the solution, get it to where you want it to go. And then basically just repeating the process over and over again until you get the background effect that you are looking to achieve. So again, you can see there that first layer, and now we'll add a little bit more. And you can see just how much that second layer alone adds so much vibrance to the panel. And this is just such a really cool effect. So by the end of the video today, I will have shown you 3 ways to use these pearl powders. One is with a coordinating color ink underneath. That was the first one I showed you, just to see, so you could see how much more vibrant you can make the color if you use a coordinating color ink underneath it. This technique, which is to make a spray out of them. And then the last technique will be, I will show you how to use it on it, embossing, with embossing ink. So there you go, just add a little bit more red. And what I was really kind of going for here was sort of the way when I make a background using alcohol inks, I kind of just keep going until I like it. I was kind of trying to do the same thing, but with these pearl powders. So instead of the alcohol ink in the background, I really have this really cool shimmer. And you can see here at this part of the video, I kind of warped my mat underneath it, but no, it was no big deal. I hit it with my heat tool and went right back into shape. So I also intentionally left some white spaces as well, so that you'd have a little bit of white popping out there. All in all, when I'm done with this, I'm quite happy with how this background turned out. And like I said, I just ordered the rest of the pearl powders, waiting for them to come in the mail. I love how adding layers just makes it look more and more vibrant each time. So at this point, I stopped and pulled out a baby wipe so that I could clean off the space underneath. For those of you sticking with me through this entire video, I appreciate it, and I hope you like the result. So I'm just going to keep adding until I'm completely happy with how this panel turns out. And you can see, you know, normally if you mixed red and green together or pink and green together, you would really kind of get like a yucky brownish kind of color. But you see here, by drying each layer in between, you don't really get that muddying of the two colors. You really get a separate green and a separate separate areas of red. So with this last spray of red, I think you can see it, but that one spot there on the upper left is pretty pale, and I just wanted a couple red flicks of sparkle up in there, which is why I sprayed it from a little bit further away. So if you spray it from a little bit, see here how I'm holding it back further? If you spray it from further away, you get a more fine spray by the time it reaches the paper. If you spray it up close, you get more of those like initial kind of like bigger droplets of water that come out of the mister. So that's what I was going for. I just wanted a couple fine sprinkles of red in that little green patch over there on the kind of like mid to upper left corner there. So I'm going to show you the background as it is now. I'm pretty happy with this. You can see I've got some of those red sprinkles, like I said, but see how shimmery this entire panel is. I just love it. So again, just to recap, these are the colors I have. So this is dark blue, okay? This is pink, and then this is mint, and then emerald. Now for the next project, I'm going to be using black. It is, yeah, it's just called black. So we're going to make this. In fact, I love this technique so much with the stencil that I made 2 of them. So let me just tell you how I prepped this first. I took some Distress Oxide ink in a couple different colors of orange. And then I took the, let me just see, it is the Jack-o'-lantern Faces stencil from Scrappiness. And I just pounced embossing powder through there instead of hitting the stencil with a different color ink, I hit it with embossing powder. Use some clear, embossing ink. Then I hit it with some clear embossing powder, dried it up, and now I'm putting black Distress Oxide ink. I think this is black soot. So I'm gonna prep this, and you'll see you get that, reverse, you get that orange showing through, which is what I wanted. And then once I have a nice layer of this black soot on here, I'm going to add that black embossing, that black pearl powder. And like I said, I thought this technique was so cool that I made 2 of these panels to make 2 different shaker cards. Because the effect that you get when you do the whole entire panel is just really cool. So once I have this as dark as I like, I'm going to next just wipe off the embossed images, just to kind of get some of that ink off of the embossing powder. Well, it's not powder anymore. Just so it's a little bit, bring back some of that vibrancy of the orange underneath. And I had a little stubborn spot there on the upper left that I just took a tiny, tiny dab here of water. Just a little dab of water to get that out. Because you know how when embossing powder dries, sometimes you get those little grooves in it. So I had gotten some black ink that was a little stubborn there, wouldn't come out. All right. So like I said, we're going to take this black pearl powder. I'm going to grab a sheet of copy paper, and I am going to fold it in half so that there's a nice crease down the middle of it, so I don't make a mess of my whole workspace. And then I'm going to grab the same brush, which I have cleaned again, and I'm going to use this pearl powder right over this scrap piece of copy paper, so this way I can just funnel it right back into my pearl powder canister. So I'm just kind of going to dump, I'm not dumping too much on, because remember I said a little bit goes a really long way. I'm using a more flat back brush here, and I'm just spreading it out completely. And what I like about this, if you can see it already, it kind of looks very metallic-y. When you look at it up close, it almost looks like it is a piece of metal, like steel. Which like I said, I really like this so much that I made a couple of them, because it made a really cool background for a shaker card. But look at that shimmer that you get. And I just kind of keep going, keep wiping it off, tap it off a little bit, get as much of that off as you can. And I'll just tap it. And then you're going to take all of that, and you can funnel that right back into your pearl powder canister and save it. I mean, look at that. You hardly really use any of this at all. Clean up my work area a little bit here. And check out that background. Now I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to just take a cloth. Here I'm taking a microfiber cloth, and I'm just going to go over those embossed jack-o'-lantern faces again and just pull any of that excess pearl powder off of that, just to kind of restore a little bit of that vibrancy. So first I did it with a brush, and then I'll grab my microfiber cloth. And this is just a generic microfiber cloth, bought them on Amazon, super cheap. And I'm just gonna go a little bit more carefully this time than I did the first time, because I don't want to wipe that pearl powder away from the surrounding areas, because my Distress Oxide ink is still a little bit tacky under there. So I'm just gently wiping the faces, but doing the same thing and just getting that orange to show through again. You can see there's a couple spots, excuse me, where you can see like that I've, my brush stroke there. You won't see those in the finished card. You just go over it with, with your brush again. And then once you put the card together, you don't even notice those. Or you don't see them, I should say. So once I'm all done with this, again, like I said, you just take that brush, go right over it, and then you don't even notice. Look at how beautiful this came out. So shimmery. I love this. Now I'm going to take some white gouache here and just put some sprinkles of white, spatters, sprinkles, splatters, whatever word you like to call them. I'm going to just take a little bit of white gouache on an acrylic block, put a little bit of water on it, so you gotta get it to the consistency that you like. I'm going to test it on that scrap piece of cardstock again, scrap piece of copy paper rather, and then I'm going to put some splatters on this background. And then after that, it'll be all ready for me to turn into a shaker card. So now you see I'm taking a different brush altogether, and I'm just splattering the background. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I hope that you pick up some of these pearl powders and really try them out. There's so much fun to experiment with. There's so many cool things that you can do with them. There's, a whole range of, just the amount of vibrancy that you can make them, and mixing them, using them on white cardstock, black cardstock. And here's another one that I made of this. And here I'm going to show you the shaker cards that I made. Thank you again for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, the Cat Scrappiness channel. And I will see you again in another video for Cat Scrappiness real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.